Starting it off, we have a new knife from ZYAC Designs. You guys might remember them for having the ring knives that I featured on the channel and the OTF, the titanium OTF that has interchangeable blade shapes and different steels. This is definitely something unique as well, which they are known for doing. We have a massive M390 blade. Beautiful satin that gets down super thin. This is like a chef knife geometry. It's very, very slicey. Like I said, M390 blade, big blade, titanium handle, titanium pocket clip that's on the spine attached to the back spacer. So it does make it to where the clip can't be pushed in. We do have another one that we're gonna show here in a minute that's kind of similar, but I've seen some of these clips where when you squeeze, this will go in between the scales and hit the blade. And in this case, you don't have to worry about that. Inset steel liner that is wedged between the back spacer. And we have a flipping action that you do have the light switch. You can't push button it, but it is an easy light switch. Then you have the thumb studs that you can reverse flick or thumb flick off of. Has a really cool sound. And you can thumb roll it with the front flipper or front flip it with the front flipper. Now, it is a bit wide from here to here, but you can still easily do it. This does remind me somewhat of a chef knife if it wasn't for the wave. So that tells me that it's most likely a self-defense style knife, and having the clip position this way means you can put it in any direction you want. So the wave feature is going to make it to where you can rapidly deploy it out of your pocket, basically as fast as pulling out a fixed blade, or at least as close to as fast as you can get while carrying a folding knife, because as you pull it out of your pocket, the knife automatically deploys if you use the wave feature. Now, that being said, the handle and blade remind me of a chef knife because your knuckles do not get hit when you're cutting down on a flat surface like a chef knife. Even if you choke up right here, you know, it's close, but you know, you can get away with not hitting your knuckle. So even pinch grips and things like that. And as slicey as this blade is, my goodness, is this thing gonna cut deep. This thing will cut very, very deep. So regardless of how you're gonna use it, whether it's in the kitchen or a self-defense style knife, this is going to be a slicer. Next is from Chapman knives. Now this one I've already featured on the channel before. You can see the NEEVESKNIVES logo. I did a full video on this showing the insides of it and everything, and you should go check that video out. This has some of the most unique bearings that I've ever seen in my life. They're so crazy. Now these are made in the USA and they are very premium knives. This one's in 20 CV steel, but this one is in MagnaCut steel, which I'm happy to see Chapman using different steels. So MagnaCut steel is an incredibly tough steel that holds an incredible edge. So it holds a really good edge, extremely, extremely tough, and it sharpens up really, really well, especially if the HRC is in the right range between like 62 and 64. I preferred 63 to 64, but anywhere between 62 and 64, it holds an incredible edge and it takes an incredibly sharp edge. It's nice to sharpen, it deburrs really nicely, and the results come out beautifully. With the lower HRC steels, it doesn't sharpen up as well, but that's common among, all steels for the most part. Some are, a little bit different than others, but typically the harder the HRC, the better the edge is going to come out and the better experience you're going to have. But it also has an amazing amount of corrosion resistance. So it is one of the most corrosion resistant steels. I think it'd be like number 3 or number 4 or something like that on the corrosion chart. So that makes this a very, very well-rounded steel. 20 CV is as well. It's where it loses is the toughness. This technically has a bit more corrosion resistance and a lot more toughness, but the edge holding, I have found them to be fairly similar. Technically 20 CV should hold a better edge for longer, but I don't think you'd even notice the difference if both are heat treated well. Even as far as my testings go, MagnaCut has outperformed a lot of 20 CV. Now there is other factors, blade geometry and so on, which does play a huge factor. So there is a lot of variables, but regardless, it's a steel that holds an incredible edge. We have an aluminum oxide blasted finish, so it's kind of like what you'd expect from like a Chris Reeves knives. However, you can choose whatever flavor you want. There's so many options. I even got extra hardware for this one so that I can change the hardware to blue if I want. It looks good with the blade matching the hardware, but it also will look cool with the blue titanium hardware that you can. There's so many different color options. You can choose it basically the scale colors or the type of anodizing you want from the clip all the way down to the hardware. And the action is insane on these bearings. Like I said, this is very different. It has a unique look to it. It's not something that most people look at it and it does look a little abnormal to them because it's not, like I said, it's not an average pocket knife for most people or what most people's brains consider a pocket knife. Even in the hand, it has a little bit of a unique feeling. So, but being a USA made premium knife, I think these things are awesome. And speaking with the company, there might be something really awesome coming from these guys pretty soon that you guys will not want to miss. Next ones are gravity knives. This one is a USA made gravity knife, the Paragon Warlock from Asheville Knives, and it is very unique the way it works. You squeeze these together and the scales pop out like that. I actually do have a new one coming here pretty soon, but they do have different blade shapes. They have custom ones, they have titanium ones. This one is a aluminum handle with an S30V blade. The new versions have a titanium mill pocket clip, so that is one thing that's different, and they have a bunch of different, you know, blade finishes and things like that. Double-edged dagger right here, so it's going to be very pokey and, you know, very slashy. When you're squeezing these scales, you know, you're pinning them together so it is rock solid while you're squeezing it. Now, there is other gravity knives like the RIA EXO. These are quite a bit more affordable. They are made overseas, and this exact one is not available, but there is similar ones available with the aluminum handles. So they come in titanium, different blade shapes. Now, the titanium ones are going to be more premium. They have 3 different sizes, they lock, and they have clips. This one has an aluminum handle though, making it a bit more affordable, or quite a bit more affordable. The one you can get right now with LMAX and aluminum is like $100 less than the titanium one. So that's pretty cool. This one was a Blade HQ exclusive that did sell out, but there's so many options for the EXO. This one happens to be Nitro V and aluminum. Like I said, this one's out of stock, but there's lots of options. Gravity knives have recently came quite a big hit. These are very popular right now, but they're definitely not your average EDC knife, and they can pose some legality issues depending on where you live. They also have a karambit version from the EXO line that you can check out as well. It's completely different and definitely has a unique opening style that you know, I had never seen before it. Next is from Medford. Now, this is just a beast of a knife. It's a brick. Most people are not going to carry around something like this big and this overbuilt. It is an absolute beast. Now, it's paying homage to the USMC K-bar. It's supposed to have that same style. Like, this is supposed to be like the leather-wrapped handle. Leather-wrapped handle. This is a pommel, a titanium pommel for hitting and bashing. We have a hollow ground drop point blade, very beautiful traditional drop point blade, and it has a titanium frame lock. The blade still on this one's S35VN, but they do have other options. Nice large internal stop pins, very solid lockup. You can hear that lock engagement. That's amazing. And then it has a titanium clip with a steel ball. I'm typically not the biggest fan of the steel balls, but for a 100% USA made knife that's paying homage to an iconic USA knife, I think that's awesome. Like I said, it's not something that most people are going to carry around, and even if you do own one, you're probably not going to carry it around a lot because it is big, it is heavy, but badassery all the way around. Next, we have the Spyderco Matriarch. Again, we have a wave feature, and this is self-defense knife. Now there is the civilian, which is very similar to this. I think it's a little bit longer. This one's the matriarch. So we have the Spyderco matriarch. Now the civilian is quite a bit more money, like $100 more, if not more than that. You can get this one for like 120, 130 bucks, and it's going to do the job just as well. It has a hollow ground serrated blade with a recurved edge that goes down to a nasty claw-like tip. When you strike with this tip and this blade shape is going to pull whatever it hits into the serrations. So when you swipe down, you don't even have to try to push forward. All you have to do is make contact with the tip, and basically whatever it hits is going to be pulled into the edge, which is really crazy. And having this wave feature means you can rapidly deploy it out of your pocket and get it to work if, you know, God forbid, you needed to use it for that particular thing. Obviously, it can still be used as a functional EDC knife. The thing is the serrations are a bit more difficult for people to sharpen, so you do have to be careful with that. Luckily, they do stay sharp for a long time, you know, just because of the way they're made. But we have a 4-way reversible pocket clip, so you can have it in any direction you want. Washer action in the pivot, very, very smooth. You can easily one-hand deploy it. And it's very slim in the hand, very light. It has FRN handles, which is a very lightweight, durable handle material that tends to lean more towards the affordable side. Blade steel is VG10 steel, which Spyderco does a good job with it. And the Seki City Japan models are really, really well done. They do a great job over there in Japan with Spyderco's models. As you guys probably know, Spyderco has different knives coming from different, like they have the USA made line, they have the Taiwan, and they have the Japan, and they technically do have some Chinese made knives as well. Now, this next one, I'm going to show you guys too, because this is a very special company, Rockstead. Rockstead is also a Japanese made knife, but these are the peak, the top of the top when it comes to Japanese made production knives. These are absolutely incredible. The build quality, the tolerances, everything is just made to precision. You can tell there's a lot of handwork done on these. The blades are also very unique. You don't see this typically on blades. This is a convex zero ground blade, meaning the grind right here, the polished area, goes all the way down to the apex. There's no edge bevel on it. So that makes this thing incredibly sharp. I mean, like insanely sharp. And some of the sharpest edges you will ever find out of the box from a company. Now, this one, or both of these, are in ZDP 189 steel, which is technically not a super steel unless if you do what they do to it, which is what they do is each one is heat treated at a high HRC between 66 and 67 HRC. And they test each example. You can see the little dot right there. That's where they test. That's an HRC test. And they tell you exactly what your HRC is. In this one's case, 66.7 HRC. And you can see it's got the Hanzakuri blade shape. And we're going to check that one out right now. This one is a bit more premium than this one and actually has a clip. Like I was saying earlier, there was one that was coming up that's kind of similar. I think this thing looks so awesome. I think this thing it almost looks like a sports car or something, like a Porsche or something like that. I think the ass end of this thing just looks really cool. I love, you know, the way the back end looks on this. It is a button lock knife. Now this is a button lock knife with washers. So it is very tight in the pivot. They do take a while to break in, but they feel like they're on oiled glass. Fresh out of the package, they literally are like some of the smoothest and most luxurious knives. Now, I don't mean smooth like bearing smooth. I mean washer smooth. This one has broken in. You can see how smooth this one is. Most of the time you're not going to see one drop shut like that because they are very tight in the pivot. Like I said, these parts are machined to precision and are built extremely tight. They actually are very tough knives considering, you know, the premium quality of the steel and it being, you know, still a pocket knife. They're built extremely well. Love the sharpening tool and plunge grind on this. The hollow the convexed polished grind. These are hand polished too. Titanium handle on this one. It has a sandwich construction, and again, you know, button lock action that is a little unique because it's not like your typical button lock, but it is still a button lock. You can kind of swing it forward and then drag it, or you can just kind of roll it down after you push the button. You do have a little fuller there. I technically can use. When it's broken in, it'll probably be a little bit better, but these are, like I was saying earlier, these are some of the highest quality Japanese made knives you can buy. Some of the highest quality knives, period, as far as production knives go. When you think of a Rockstead, you think of like basically what a samurai sword is to swords. It's the real deal, made with the traditional ways. And I'm not saying that these are made like a samurai sword. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the family who makes these, or the company, they have passed down their traditions, I'm sure, from generation to generation, and are Japanese knife makers that have probably been in the knife making business for a very, very, very long time. So there's a reason why these are so exceptional and so exceptionally made, and have a lot of qualities that a lot of other knives do not have. So that's what's so special about them, and why they are not your average EDC knife. You will most likely never see anybody ever carrying one of these, as they are very expensive. This one I think was about $2,000, and then this one was about $1,100. You could probably get them now for about $1,500 or something like that. But anyways, but regardless of the price, it's just these are so beautiful and so well made and polished. So even if you buy them, a lot of people typically are not out using them. This one, however, I have used quite a bit, and I don't mind using it. This one would be considered a user for me, and it is one of the most ergonomic knives I've ever felt. Wish it had a pocket clip, but it doesn't. This one does. Anyways, there you guys go. At least it has a pocket sheath, right? It comes with a little tool too. This is made by Rockstead. So there you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.